So today I'm out of clinic, it's my day off, and this is the day where I do clients' reports, letters to GP, and lots of other admin that we need to do within the clinic. And so I thought I would take a break and do a Tales from the Colonic Clinic. Now, I've said before, these are told with permission from clients, so I'm not breaking any confidentiality that we may have within the clinic. They've given me their permission. So this is actually a story that I told on the Tim Vine chat show many years ago on Radio 4 when I was pulled out of the audience, and it got a good reception. So I hope that it's going to be something that you'll enjoy hearing. So I had an elderly lady come in to see me, and when you come in to see me for a colonic, you fill out a form, a consultation form, and she gave me a lot of information. So she was in her very early 80s. And she gave me information from childhood issues such as verrucas on her right foot, which isn't necessarily relevant for a colonic, but she's not to know what is and what isn't relevant. And I appreciate the details, certainly, because sometimes the consultation forms have got hardly anything on them to start off with. But she gave us a lot of information. So we went through everything that was appropriate for the colonic. And then I asked her to go into the loo and get changed. And she came out with the big fleece, and she'd kept her socks on, which I say to all clients, if you want to keep your socks on to keep your feet warm, please feel free to do so, which she did. And she had some long socks on, I noticed. So she got on the table, and clients initially start by lying on their back so that I can have a feel of their tummy, and I have them lying with their legs bent because that just relaxes their tummy a little bit and gives me a better chance to actually have a feel of what's going on. And as I was doing that, I noticed she was fiddling with the sock on her right leg. I didn't think anything about it, just thought she was making herself more comfortable, just saw it and forgot it really. Then what happened was she goes onto her left-hand side for the insertion, which is the way that we insert the speculum. And then after we've done some soaking on the left-hand side, the normal procedure is for me to tell the client that I'm now moving them back onto their back again. So I will actually guide their right leg. So I will take their right leg and move it over all the tubing so they know where their foot needs to go, and then they just shuffle back round onto their back. So I continued as normal. That's what I normally do. So I held on to her leg, and I thought, oh gosh, she's a little bit cold. I had a look, but her colour was good on her face. So I just took her leg and moved it over to the right of the tubes, but the rest of the body didn't follow. And I then realised that I was holding her leg in my hand, and she had a false leg. She'd never mentioned it, despite a very long consultation form. And in fact, the verruca that she had told me about was on her right foot, which she didn't have anymore. In fact, what had happened was that when she was lying on her back and adjusting what I thought was her sock, she'd actually just been undoing or loosening her false leg because it was feeling a little bit awkward when she was having her legs bent. So she'd adjusted it, but she hadn't mentioned it. Despite a very long consultation form, she hadn't put anything on there about the fact that she had lost the lower part of her leg, and she had mentioned a verruca on her foot. When I was holding her leg in my hand, for a millisecond, I thought I'd actually pulled her leg off, because what was the other logical explanation? I couldn't think of anything. I immediately thought I had somehow amputated her leg and was holding it in my hand. And then she realised what was happening, and I realised as I pulled it out further that I could see that it was a prosthetic limb. But it's really stuck with me, that story. She and I both had a really good laugh about it, and I did say to her, I wish this room wasn't confidential. And she said, oh no, you can tell this story. She said, I think it's a great, she said, it's funny. And she said, it's never happened to me before. And I thought that was weird because she'd never had a colonic before. So it never would have happened to her before. But she was a lovely lady, and she felt great. She came back to see us again. I knew the next time to work out what we were doing and just very gently guide her leg over instead of actually pulling it off. So Tales from the Colonic Clinic, part 2, and part 3 will follow. Hope you enjoyed that. Bye.